From here on out, every foul is flagrant, boy. Let's go. What's up? Came in a chokehold, more balls than Esco. All right, maybe
you are now tuned into the chat room, your favorite baller's favorite podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Chatroom Podcast. I am the Senator, and with me today I got Coach.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on?
And it's just us this one. We're missing 6 people. It's all good, but you know what I mean? It's just us holding it down this episode. But we are joined by a special guest. We're going to get into his story, but I'm just going to introduce him as Daniel and let him say a little bit about himself before we jump into this.
Nice. So thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. Good night, good afternoon, good morning to your fan base, to all the people listening all across the world. My name is Daniel Loveless. I've traveled the world. I've traveled to over 26 destinations worldwide, questioning people, producing a show called What You Know, or What You Know, as we would say in the Caribbean. It's a really funny show that promotes education through entertainment. What I do is that I question random persons on the street in different parts of the world on general knowledge topics, on cultural heritage. Simple questions such as what is 2 plus 2 or what is 50% of 14? Simple questions in an effort to solicit to see what they know. In exchange for answering 5 questions correctly, each person has an opportunity to win a grand prize of sometimes $1,000 or sometimes a phone or different prizes. If they answer the questions correctly, they win the prize. If not, they learn something. And this is what I do, traveling the world, spreading that love throughout the Caribbean and throughout the world. I was born and raised in the beautiful twin island of Trinidad and Tobago. I started the show here, and now we've managed to build a platform of over 800,000 followers across platforms. Daniel Loveless in 30 seconds.
That's stuff. Yeah. I've been definitely following you for a while and watching your videos. I definitely get a lot of jokes out of it for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a great episode. That's what we know for sure.
For sure. I think the one that I laughed the hardest at was what was the one? It was like, what was the question? It was the girl, and she called her friend, and her friend couldn't give her the answer. She's like, I don't know what the question was, but it was like, oh my God, it's not bothering me now. I'm looking it up, but like,
TWO, yeah,
that one, TWO, yeah, that's the one.
What does TWO spell? Yeah,
that one. And she called her friend, and she couldn't get it, and her friend couldn't get it, and she's like, yeah, I was dying laughing. That was funny.
Daddy enjoyed it, man.
All right, so let's do our roundtable discussion before we get into the interview of Daniel. So, what's the story behind your first nickname? And you got to say what your first nickname is too.
Oh, my first ever nickname. I think my first ever nickname would have come from my mom. And it was something simple like Didi. I mean, to this day, she still calls me Didi. Yeah. I don't understand why. So it's either Didi or Danny Boy, So when somebody calls me Danny Boy, it's like it goes deep. And I just think, it stems from, her nurturing me a lot, and as we would say in the Caribbean, babying me up a lot. I'm still a baby to this date. So I think that is where it stems from. And what is amazing about that is that, the connection that I've managed to build with my fan base over the years, namely on Facebook. I have a lot of fans that call me Danny Boy, especially the older heads, the older people say Danny Boy. So it's super heartwarming sometimes when I travel to some of these Caribbean countries and in the streets with them, people say, hey, Danny Boy, and it's so it's just heartwarming when people could rename you, because it reminds me of my mom and it makes me feel at home and it makes us all like a family. So that's the story behind the first nickname.
Definitely.
That's
Coach.
that's tough. Like I never really had a nickname growing up, but like one of the nicknames that like people used to call me all the time was Scrooge. So this Scrooge, yeah. These always so like one of my friends in high school, his name is Jordan, and like we were at McDonald's, and when you're young, like you go to McDonald's, you go to any restaurant, and you have like a little bit of money, but like you try to get as much as you can. So like I try to get like big like junior chicken and like fries and like a apple pie or whatever. And one of my friends didn't have enough money, and they asked me for like a piece of my apple pie. And I said no. And I said no because I was hungry, right? So he basically said that I'm Scrooge. From Scrooge McDuck from
Yes.
story? Yeah. So he basically just said that I was mean person for not being able to give my friend a piece of apple pie, but I was hungry. So that was like the original like my first ever nickname.
Right.
And then now yeah. So that was that. Not that.
What about you, my friend, Senator?
My first nickname was Point Zero, and it sounds very wild, but I'll quickly explain to you why. So I moved to Jamaica for 3 years when I was in elementary school. So grade 4 to 7, I moved to Jamaica, and I used to perform. That's when I started to write and started doing all that stuff. So I was trying to find the nickname. And somebody called me Point Zero because that used to be a winter coat brand from I think it was Kmart or Walmart, one of those ones. And it was Point Zero. So then they're just like, yeah, that's your nickname. You're cold, so we're calling you Point Zero. So that was my first nickname.
Actually, I have a friend his nickname is Froze. So
see, that's the way how it works.
Yeah.
All right, so seeing that we're talking about our first nicknames, what was the most embarrassing childhood story that you can remember?
Oh my gosh. What are our limitations in terms of speech here? Like,
nothing.
It's free speech.
Nothing. Good. Yes, I remember, in Trinidad and Tobago, and in much Caribbean countries, this is a very embarrassing story here. Yes, so in Trinidad and Tobago, and in many Caribbean countries, we go by forms. So it's Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, right? And when I entered a new school in Form 2, my first day, I was a bit shy and nervous, being around a set of new students, etc. And I remembered, I had a little, I passed a little gas now. But it was one of those wet ones now. So I went to the bathroom and it was just like a little wet one, But I was so embarrassed to go tell the principal that I wanted to go home. So I decided to just leave it like this. So it was pushing a little set now, And I remember the students in the class accusing me of being the one smelling like that. I was like, nah. It could never be me. I could never admitted it publicly to this day, and they gave me the nickname Captain Shitty Bum. To this day, I denied it to the last. It could never be me. It could never ever. That can't be me, But publicly today, I'm mentioning it to all my old classmates, etc. is gonna watch this. I'm like, oh shit! I knew it was. If you didn't know, well,
now you know. Now you know.
Yeah.
Go.
I mean, the only embarrassing story I can remember is like play like like back in the day, like wrestling was like really really big, right? So we used to like always watch like WWE and SmackDown. We used to always watch all these things, and in front of my building there was like a park, so we used to always like play fight, like like we're joking, but we're like like throwing fake punches and whatever. And I think like my mom came down. And because she thought like so my balcony was like right there, so she could see us. So but she did the same thing to me, but she came down and she was so mad, like she draped me up and like boxed me, and everyone kind of froze. I'm like, Mom, like what's the matter? She's like, why are you out there fighting in front of people? And like I'm telling her that we're like we're play fighting is just a joke thing, and she wouldn't let it go. Like just So like, I was so embarrassed. So that after that, I never play fight again. I just stopped right away because I was like, I'm not gonna get draped up like that again. So and like my mom being from Jamaica, like, you know, community and culture is like big in the Caribbean, you know, right? Very, very big in the Caribbean. And like in Canada, it's not really like that, you know. So you can have like your neighbor and you don't really know their name for like 4 or 5 years, you know. And in Jamaica, like you have like your family and stuff would like look up for you and say, "Hey, stop fighting," you know, whatever. Your mom's gonna come down, whatever. I didn't get that in Canada. I didn't get that. So my mom came down and straightened me up, and that's my little embarrassing story.
So mine is very embarrassing, but I've never told this on the podcast, but some people that know me know the story. So in grade 1, I went to school with my older cousin, and my older cousin was in grade 4 at the time. So I thought I could be cool and hang out with his people. And there was one day he wasn't there, and then they dared me to stand on the table during lunchtime and pull down my pants. And I said, no. But then they said, if someone dares you, you have to do it. So in my thought process is, all right, this is just something to get me in with the crowd, all that stuff. So I stood on the table, pulled down my pants. And then, you know, kids are going to be kids. So they start freaking out. They're whatever. Teacher comes to me and says, yo, that's not the way how you make friends in the school.
That was embarrassing.
I told you. I never said it on the pod, but now that we're here, we might as well just talk about it, right? So, all right, last question for the round table. What is the name of your car? Did you name your car? And what is the name of your car?
Okay, me? Yeah. So I like to call my car DL1. Yeah, so the D stands for Daniel, the L stands for Loveless, so the one just stands for one. Because I have this fantasy with exclusivity, like in our country, right? There's a prime minister, right? And all the prime minister vehicles, or the office of the prime minister vehicles, they are denoted by PM1. There's Coast Guard, there's the CG, that's Coast Guard, and there are many other different codes. So my thing is that I always wanted with my fleet of vehicles, I always wanted to denote them by DL, so DL1. So the vehicle that I'm driving right now is a vehicle that I've always wanted, and I got the vehicle now. So that's one of the vehicles of like a part of my fleet. So it's DL1. So when I buy Rover next, it'll be DL2. I just keep denoting that. And I call it DLA. Yeah. DLA.
Yeah. That's dope. So my cars all are named women. So they're all like different names from women. So my current car, I drive a white Hyundai Santa Fe Sport with a black leather interior. Right. So the name of my car is Sarah J. You guys know who Sarah J is? So Sarah J is a white adult film star, like a porn star, and she usually interacts with black men. So outside of my vehicle is white, and inside there's black in the inside. So I call my vehicle.
Is it Sarah J? Sarah Jane?
Sarah Jay.
Sarah J.
Sarah J. So that's the name of my current vehicle. My last vehicle I had was I used to drive a Chrysler 300. So a Chrysler 300. A Chrysler 300, it looks like a. So a Chrysler 300 looks like a poor person's like Phantom or like Rolls Royce, right? So very, very bougie. So that was my old car, and I used to call that car Jada Fire. So Jada Fire.
What's your story? Eh? What the funny thing about this is that this picture is not Sarah J. That's not Sergey. So is this Sergey?
I can't really. Yes,
Yeah.
that's her. That's her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, that's it. That's it. The other picture wasn't it? So,
No, but from that picture, you can take away the story of my car. So yeah, my other car was Jada
I come
Fire.
back inside.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the story of my cars.
So my car is called Never Going Back. And it's a simple thing. I had a car when I lived in Toronto.
Right.
And then I moved to Calgary and didn't have a car for a couple of years.
Right.
And I had to take the bus. And when I got this car back, I said, you know what? I am never going back to public transportation again.
Yeah.
So my car is called Never Going Back.
Right.
I definitely can respect that, bro. Because
I can't do that.
no, like once you get your own freedom and you're able to drive around and move around freely as you wish, as you see fit, relying on public transit is something that you never want to go back to. So I definitely hear that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Daniel, so we'll start with this. Take us through your journey. Like how have you been able to kind of get to the pinnacle of where you are right now? So like we kind of talked about it previously, like before we start recording, but you are the new host of Hot Ones, the Caribbean version, and you have your own YouTube on your stuff. Like how have you been able to kind of manage from like starting up YouTube or on Facebook and then now to where you are right now?
Yeah. So I started off in 2016 with a social experiment in the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, testing, just the general knowledge of people. I always questioned more about life. So I thought that, it would be interesting to see what people knew about life. And that's why I came up with the idea and the concept of what you know. So I went out on the streets, did the social experiment, realized that people didn't know much, and then I took that, episode, as I called it back then, and it's still called episodes. And I just threw it up, threw it out there in the universe. And people liked it, Some people like it, some people didn't like it. But it went viral. And I always wanted to have a large influence on a large number of people. But I just didn't know how. Ever since from being a young boy, I mean, I'm still young, 22, but ever since being younger, I always wanted to have that influence on people. I would be in my mother's vehicle, and while she's driving, I'd be waving, just to the air, just imagining that I was some person of importance, in society. And I always wanted to reach there because I always believed that if I could have a large impact on people, then I could have a greater impact on the world. I could solve world issues. I could solve social issues and be a part of the solution and not the problem. So I realized there and then when I saw that this video went viral, I was like, yeah, this could be my possible way to have that large impact in the world. And I just kept improving. I just kept doing more and more and more. I created a Facebook profile. That's why I started. That's why I got my come up. That's why I built, a loyal audience there on Facebook. I have an audience of 500,000 people there. So, I've built a loyal audience there. I stepped across the Instagram, took over the Instagram game, started building there as well. Stepped across to YouTube, did a lot of stuff there, getting 27 million views on YouTube, being certified by YouTube, verified by YouTube. YouTube actually also sent me an award for surpassing 100,000 followers. So, that is what the journey has been like. It has been, I don't want to use the word difficult, but the journey has had its obstacles. But what that has, obstacles never took me down. I believe that with the career path that you choose, dependent on the career path that you choose, you got to be able to withstand the test of time. So, the obstacles did come. People did try to shut me down. I didn't allow it to happen. People tried to stop me. I didn't allow it to happen. There are the critics who don't like the show. I didn't allow that to stop. There are, in the beginning, companies that didn't want to associate with me because they thought that, this guy is, just embarrassing people, or, it's not a good show, you don't like the show. But I did not let those things stop me. And I believe that within that, there is a lesson. Challenges will come. Regardless of what you're doing, challenges will always come. But what I did not allow is that the challenge to take me down. It was always about finding a way to navigate the challenges. All right, certain people don't like the show. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna be better? Companies don't wanna advertise with me, don't wanna sponsor me, don't wanna be a part of it. Okay, how can I change their minds? How can I become a product that people want to associate themselves with? And even if they don't want to, well, that's them. You got a vision, and we're going towards that vision. You don't want to be a part of it, that's no problem. And the journey has been amazing. I've just been appreciating the process, accepting the moment for what it is. It's very important to accept the moment for what it is. And yeah, in 2016, I started, and then in 2019, I just made the bold decision to get out there and go out there in the world. I was tired of being classified as the Trinidadian YouTuber, the guy from Trinidad that runs around and asks, he askers. That's funny. We need to keep that. Yeah, the guy who, in Trinidad asks questions on the street. I didn't want to be classified as that. I wanted to take my country. Yes, I wanted to be known as, yeah, he's from Trinidad and Tobago. He was born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago. But this is not Daniel Loveless, Trinidad and Tobago. This is Daniel Loveless who travels the world. This is Daniel Loveless who people from the Caribbean love. This is Daniel Loveless, a man of the people, a man of the world. And, I approached a few companies and tried to get them to, throw some money at me to enable me to travel the world. It didn't work out. So you know what I did? I invested in myself, I grind, took little odd jobs from here and there, took that money, put it into touring, and I began my journey of traveling the world, asking people questions. Started with one destination, and I managed to visit 26 destinations across the world so far. But COVID and everything, so we're back home. We're stuck at 26 right now.
That's tough. That's tough. So, from that, I got two follow-up questions. So the first question would be, what was the first place that you went to for your touring?
So the first place I visited was actually Canada. I met Canada. Yeah, big up the Canada squad. I met a guy from Toronto. His name is Akil, AK. And he was in Trinidad on vacation. And, he expressed to me how the people of Toronto loved the show. How there was a huge Caribbean fan base out there. And, a huge Caribbean, a part of the Caribbean diaspora living in Toronto. So he was like, yo, we should come to Toronto. And he suggested that he would fly me to Toronto to do that first edition. At that time, I didn't have any visas or anything like that. So he really assisted me through the process, got me to Toronto. And that is where I got my jump start. So I started in Toronto. I came to Toronto for 3 days. And I remember arriving in Toronto. It was so amazing, I got there. I've never seen snow or, been a part of or anything like that. And I got there and I remember when I walked through, I exited, I believe the airport's name is the Pearson. Yeah, Pearson. Good. So I got there and I remember when the sliding doors open, as soon as you past Tim Hortons there, the coolness just hit me and I was like, wow. It was just amazing to be out there. I got that big break there. I was there for 3 days. And I remember I came back home and I was like, damn, you went to Toronto. Do you now go back in Trinidad and Tobago and just go around Trinidad and Tobago, or do you continue taking it to the next level? So I got my break there and I was like, you know what? Never going back. That was the motto at that time. Your car's there.
Shout out to my car. Shout out to my car.
We're never going back. We're gonna tour the world, and that was destination number one. And from there, I just kept going, non-stop, bigger and bigger and bigger every time. I started with one destination, then I did 2 destination tours, 3 destination tours. My last tour was an 8 destination tour, back to back, just running from country to country. It was an amazing run. Yeah.
Cool. So I guess my second part would be, you've been to 26 destinations. What would be maybe your top 3 favorite destinations that you've been to?
My top 3 destinations definitely has to be Canada will definitely be one of the inserts there because of the fact that it was the first place I visited. What I admired is, coming from Trinidad and Tobago, we're not as technologically advanced as the United States or Canada or the UK, etc. So one of the first things that stood out to me was just the technological advancements, bro. That being able to just whip out your phone and a vehicle just pulls up in next to no time. We're only now starting to kind of develop that trend where we have little rideshare apps, etc. But that was amazing. A car is 2 minutes away with these Uber services, these Uber Eats, you could get your stuff to eat, everything, it stood out to me. Another thing that stood out to me is most places in Trinidad and Tobago where people live, like if I need to get something to eat right now, I got to jump in my vehicle and drive maybe approximately 5 to 10 minutes to actually get somewhere. I was amazed at how we could just leave your home and a Tim Hortons or a Burger King could be just right across the street. It was so amazing. I love Toronto. That's the only place in Canada that I've been. I definitely can see myself living there as well. So Canada definitely for the technological advancements and just the convenience. The people are nice, place is nice. In terms of hospitality, Guyana has to definitely be one of the second places on that list. The hospitality there is amazing. People just love me over there. They treat me so well over there. People invite me into their homes. They cook for me. Random people, just fans, people who love me. So hospitality is amazing. And I would say number 3 would definitely have to be Belize. I love Belize, because of the beaches, many beautiful beaches over there. The small islands aside from Belize, there's I think it's San Pedro Island, there's Key Cocker. So there's different, islands that you could visit. And the humility of the people stands out for me there. The people are very humble. Like in terms of, a school child, home here, people or children will refer to me as Daniel. Hey, Daniel, I'll get a few Uncle Daniels here and there. But in Belize, it's still it's Mr. Loveless. It's and I that shows a lot about the humility. It doesn't mean that Trinidadians and people across the world are not humble, but it's just the upbringing is just different. They're so soft tone, in Trinidad and Tobago we're loud. I'm loud, vibrant, etc. But they're so soft tone and humble, and they. If I had to put Belize into an emoji, they'll be this, And I still got to throw in a fourth one there. I definitely got to put Grenada in the mix. What stood out to me in Grenada was, the humility one of the people and the safety of the place. People over there, like if I drive a pickup in Trinidad and I would dare not let somebody jump on the back of it and just drop them from one location to another, because safety concerns in Grenada, that is a norm. Somebody just stick a hand out and they just jump in the vehicle and you just drop them from one place to another because it's so safe. Such a nice place. The beach is nice, the people are nice. Those are my top 4 picks: Canada, Guyana, Grenada, and Belize.
Tough. It sucks that Fanfare's not here because that's the one time that his country got bigged up. Guyana got big up on the country. On this podcast. Guyana got big up, so big up Fanfare.
Yeah, shout out Fanfare. So, Daniel, take us through a typical day of recording for you. Like, how is your day of recording, and what's the editing process like?
Nice, man. So we're talking pre-COVID here, right?
Yeah.
A typical pre-COVID day for Daniel Loveless. I start the morning at 4 a.m. every morning. I've been doing that for the past 1 to 2 years. I get up at 4 a.m. and I work out. And from there, I'm back home about 7. Usually, a typical recording day, we would leave home maybe about 10 a.m. in the morning, 10 to 11 a.m. and just literally head to a random location. A lot of people think that, a lot of planning goes into what we do, but spontaneity has taken me so far in this what I do. From the first time back in 2016, it was just me going out on the streets, random people, random questions, random vibes. I love to operate on that type of vibes. So usually I'd schedule it. I say, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we just go in. And then we just go to a random location while we're on our way most times to craft the questions. I'd craft the questions by using a method of 3 things. I would look at what's trending on social media, try to be within the time, so ask a question along the lines of what's trending. Number 2, I would also look at my environment and allow the Almighty to provide me with the messages that I need to speak about. So I'll be driving and I just allow the cues to come. So I'd see a sign on the highway that possibly says 747, exit at 747, and that'll give me an idea. Oh, what's the opposite of the word exit? So that's how the questions are crafted. Then we get to the location. And then random people, I would just approach random people in the street. No selection, no big selection process. It's like, hey, what going on? You good, using, Trini slang. I would adjust my slang differently for each country that I go to. So if I'm in Trinidad, I'll be like, oh boy, what going on? What's the scene? Come and answer some questions now. All you have to do is answer 5 simple questions, and you have the opportunity to, win some money, The people either say yes or no, they sign a release agreement. If I'm in Canada, I'm like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? My name, Daniel Loveless. I travel the world and explain it to them. But when we get on camera, I try to get back the Trini. The only time I try to be formal with my language is with the question. So you find that sometimes before I ask the question, especially internationally traveling, when I start, I'm like, hey, Canada, I say, boy, Daniel, la, 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 la. People are like confused, like, what the hell is he doing? But then I start going, okay, this is the first question. Can you spell your name for me? So it's like they get that, they understand the question. And then I throw back in the Caribbean heritage and be like, well, try a thing now, man, try a thing. So it's all about keeping them on their toes.
Hey, you sound like a Caribbean parent when the phone rings and they don't know who it is. Yes.
Yes. You got to do this switch. You got to do this switch. Yeah. And it's actually a great area too. It's a great area because my audience is, predominantly or largely Caribbean. I don't want people to say, oh, so you're going in the States and you're talking like a Yankee now, etc. So I got to be careful of that as well. So that's why I only keep the formal part for the question. There's no way you could tell me, oh, well, you sound so formal asking a question. No, it's a question. Can you spell the word podcast for me? So I make sure they understand that. And I train the Caribbean heritage for the antics. We interview the people, we get the interviews, we come home, we dump the footage, and then we review it together and just decide which moments hit. And then we just slap it in the editing timeline. Now people think it's this long process, but to be honest with you, the long process is actually reviewing it and figuring out which moments really hit. Because the problem is, after we already saw the content, me, the cameraman, the entire team, we already saw the content on the streets. So that's one. Then we're looking at it repeatedly over and over and over. So it loses its
magic.
After a while, because now we're like, I wonder if this is really funny. After looking at this interview that you enjoyed, where I asked the girl, what does TWO spell? After looking at that 6 times, we need to say, oh, I wonder if this is really funny, boy. And then we put it out there and it's viral. So the creativity comes into the review and trying to decide which moments hit. Then we just add in the graphics there, add in the fun facts, to add in that educational twisted, adding that educational, to ensure that it has that right mix of education, entertainment, laughter, ensure that it has those elements in it. And then we package it and then we just throw it out there to the universe and, let the audience do the job. So that's a typical day in editing, day in recording, day in the life of Daniel Loveless.
Dope.
That's dope.
So, last question for me. So what advice do you have to give to like young upcoming people that want to get into the media and entertainment industry?
What advice would I have for young people who want to get into the entertainment industry? That is an amazing question. I have so much advice. One of the things that I would say that came to me while doing an interview prior to this one is you need to believe in yourself more than anyone else on this earth believes. You need to really have that deep desire for what you want. It starts with understanding your purpose and understanding your vision. You are the only person that would really understand your vision clearly, because our vision it's not tangible. You can't see that vision. It's not tangible. So you got to believe in yourself. Don't allow anyone else's opinions or anyone else's nuances deflate your vision, right? You got to believe in that vision and push forward and be confident in that vision. Because you see, it's so easy, the type of society that we live in, you share an idea with someone like, yo, I got this idea to do a social experiment, to go out and ask people questions on the street and be like, well, I mean, it's been done before. People do it already. What's going to make you stand up? You're going to ask people questions, oh, that's such a lame idea. But if you believe in that, had I shared my idea with somebody and they said, oh, Daniel, that is not a really good idea, or it could have if I didn't have a strong mind, because say, maybe this is really not a good idea, I was able to take that and to build that into something where, wow, 800,000 followers, 27 million views YouTube, because I believed in myself. So it starts with, as a creative, it really starts with that belief. Believe in your vision. And if you believe that you can really have that impact on the world, then you brother, you sister, young one, old one, anybody, just go forward with it and don't allow anybody to stop you. Don't allow anybody to stop you. The thing about it is that look at Colonel Sanders. Finding KFC, going through so many different struggles in his life, and at the age of beyond 60, he was able to start this this idea that has now. I mean, there's KFC everywhere. There's franchises everywhere. Every single way you could think of, every corner there's KFC, and that's because even at the age of 60 and beyond, he was able to, take that idea and build it into something. So, my thing is, believe in your vision. It's never too late to start. I started at 17. He started at 60 something, he started. So this leads me to the next thing. Just start, make today day one, Don't be afraid to make every single day one. Although yesterday may not have been a good day, or you may not have been consistent yesterday, every single day is day one. You want to achieve something, you want to have a healthier body, today is day one. Begin. You want to begin working out, today is day one. You want to start that new business, today is day one. Do not be afraid to start. Believe in your vision. Push forward. Don't allow anyone else to stop you. And my final thing, and this should have been mentioned first. My final thing is, you need to rely on what you believe in terms of what's your source? Is it the universe? Is it God? Is it, what do you worship? What do you believe in? You must have some sort of belief system. That I would say is the core. That is the core that has enabled me to be in the position that I am today. Really relying on that source. Yeah, so that is the one that I should have put first. You've got to put that first. And I say that because I don't want to say God, because everybody believes in something different. I want to be inclusive. Whatever you believe in, I call it the universe. Some people call it God. Whatever you believe in, you gotta really believe in that and take that and allow that to manifest great things for you. So with that, coupled with consistency, coupled with hard work, coupled with belief, you are sure to achieve great things. But I just wanna put a bullet point on that one. You really gotta believe. It's important, because as you send those prayers up, my brother, the blessings, I'm telling you, they're gonna come down. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I just want to say one quick thing towards what you just said. You brought up KFC being everywhere. Let me just let you know that Trinidad's KFC ruined KFC in Canada for me. So I have not had KFC since I moved. I went down there for a wedding. So
I agree.
Winston KFC hits as well. Since Winston KFC hits the spot.
I've never been to Trinidad before, but my family's from Jamaica, and I will say, like, the Caribbean KFC in general, it blows Canadian or US KFC out the water for sure.
Yes.
No questions asked. Because as Senator said, like, I had KFC in Jamaica, I had barbecue chicken in Jamaica, and nothing else hits like that. So that's for sure.
I'll tell you a quick story before Coach goes in. So we were down there. I went down there for my best friend's wedding, right?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where we ordered it one time, and then we knew how much it cost by the end. We knew exactly the order we were going to get, because I think we ordered it like 4 times in 7 days. It was right. It hit like that. So
hit the spot.
Hit the spot.
For sure. No, that's for sure. All right, Daniel. So before we kind of go off, I got a little twist to kind of, how you got your what you know.
Yes.
We got to know what you know for you. All right. We'll see how this goes. We'll test this out. All right. Question number 1.
Yeah, listen.
You ready? All right. Number 1.
Ready.
What is the human body's largest organ?
Skin.
Oh, ding, 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 ding.
Yes, no, I do it this, man.
All right. Okay. All right. Number 2. You're in a dark room with a candle, a wood stove, and a gas lamp. You only have 1 match left. What's the first thing that you light?
Repeat it one more time for me.
Okay. You're in a dark room with a candle, a wood stove, and a glass lamp. You only have one match left. What is the first thing that you would like? Oh,
But I would
by the
turn
dark.
on the lights in the room, you know, because it's a dark room.
Okay.
That's
But-
a solid answer. That doesn't answer the question, but that's a solid answer.
There's no light in the room, but the answer was you'd light the match. Because from the match, you can light everything else out.
Right. I totally like my room. My room.
Okay, all right, okay. Number 3. All right. Imagine you're in a sinking rowboat surrounded by sharks. All right. What would be the first thing you do to kind of help you survive that whole situation?
I'm in a sinking what?
Yeah. So imagine you're in a sinking boat surrounded by sharks. What would be the first thing you do to kind of help you survive that whole situation?
Well, the first thing, you know, I think as a man thinketh, so is he. You know, the great James Allen said, as a man thinketh, so is he. I don't even want to think that. I don't even want to imagine that because I think I'm going to imagine, you know, millions in my bedroom right now. But sinking boat. I'm in a sinking boat surrounded by sharks, you said, right?
Yeah.
One more time for me. Give me one more time. I have the answer.
All right. Imagine you are in a sinking rowboat surrounded by sharks. What's the first thing you would do to help you survive that whole situation?
I'm in a sinking rowboat surrounded by sharks. Because I row the boat. And a sinking rowboat. I hate to not know. I hate. No, let me come back to that one. Give me the rest. Give me the rest so you come back to that one.
Okay, all right. So if it takes 5 machines 5 minutes to make 5 t-shirts, how long would it take 100 machines to make 100 t-shirts?
It takes 5 machines, 5 minutes to make 5 t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
And is it 5 t-shirts each, or each machine is making 1 t-shirt? Clarify that for me.
Yeah, so each machine is making 5 t-shirts.
Right.
So you got 5 machines. It takes the 5 machines 5 minutes to make 5 t-shirts.
Right.
So how long would it take 100 machines to make 100 t-shirts?
I can figure that out. So if the 5 machine making 5 t-shirts each, right? Then that's a total of 25, 5 by 5. So 100 machines, right? Making 5 shirts each. That should be 500.
Nope. Answer is 5 minutes. So it takes 100 machines. It still takes them 5 minutes to take 5 shirts, to make 5 shirts.
Right. So they're making 500 t-shirts, but it's not time.
They're only making 100, so it still takes them 5 minutes.
Right, but I said 500 t-shirts. So they'll make 500.
So it would take, if it's 500 t-shirts, then it would be 500 minutes. Yeah.
I read
400 minutes.
the question I was asked, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, well, what was that? I was 4, right?
Yeah.
So I have to go back to 3 after. Okay. So I have one more. Okay. So this is kind of like a play on the question on my favorite episode, the one with the TO. So I'm gonna try this one. Okay.
Yeah.
What does TO spell?
2.
Okay. And what does TOO spell?
2.
Okay. And what does TWO spell?
2.
Okay. What's the second day of the week?
Tuesday.
No, it's Monday.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So yeah, that's a play on my favorite episode. Okay, so I'll go back.
That was good. And you ruined the boats, boy. I just don't want to think along them lines. My mind.
All right. So okay, I'll ask you again. Okay. So the question is: imagine you're on a sinking rowboat surrounded by sharks. What's the first thing you do to help you survive that whole situation? All right. So you have your answer?
When it didn't say in the sea, the thing, it didn't say in the sea, so I would run because I could be on the land. I could be on the land. So if it is, I could go on land. Okay, make sense of my head. I don't know.
Okay. All right. The answer is you'd stop imagining.
Oh God, I said at the beginning.
All right. Well, that's all I got. So thank you for playing with us. Thank you for being on the episode with us. We definitely appreciate it. You were a great sport. Definitely appreciate it. And I want to make sure I say, coming from somebody who's watched your episodes for a long time, keep doing what you're doing. We definitely appreciate it. You're, as you always say, you're kind of providing education through entertainment, and it's something that's definitely working. So thank you. And yeah.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. It's my pleasure, man. And I appreciate what you guys are doing here. Definitely enjoy the conversation, enjoy sharing, some parts of my story. And, looking forward to being a part of it again. Maybe in the next 3 years when I win that Grammy, you can do a second. Follow up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we've reached a part of the podcast where we get to promote our social medias, anything else that we're working on. So, Daniel, we're going to start with you first.
Right, definitely. You can follow me across all social media platforms. My personal social media is at I am Daniel Loveless. So you can follow me on Instagram and across all platforms at I am Daniel Loveless. As you may know, I also travel the world producing this very funny show called What You Know. We've managed to build, a massive platform, over 27 million views with What You Know on YouTube. So you can check out What You Know on YouTube. That's WhatYuhKnow on YouTube. And across all platforms, it's at What You Know. Instagram at What You Know TT. Facebook, What You Know, everything What You Know. It's all about what you know. So join the community today. Most people on the first episode, they are blown away. They enjoy the show. So become a subscriber today of What You Know. I actually recently just signed on to be the host of Hot Ones Caribbean, and it's that show where we ask hot questions with even hotter wings. So if you'd like to see that show, you could type it up on Instagram at Hot Ones Caribbean, and you can find me on that show as well. And that's a little bit about Daniel Loveless, and I'm just going to continue to travel the world to go to different places, educating and entertaining people. And well, if you didn't know, well, now you know.
Dope.
Tough.
Coach.
Yeah, my IG is real_deal_Francis, and COVID still got things shut down, so we'll see what happens. But we've got okay. We're okay. We're gonna have the season happening this year, so I'm just here, man. Just here.
And as for me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at The Senator. Don't forget to check out the Not So Soft podcast with myself, Nino Rockwell, Kino the Great. Don't forget to check out Talks with the Chatterbox with Mr. Pro Chatterbox himself, S.A., and Baritone Levy Joseph, also part of the Chatroom Podcast. Don't forget to follow our Instagram page at the.chatroompod. If you like this conversation, if you have more questions that you want us to ask Daniel when he wins that Grammy and comes back on here, don't forget to email it to us at thechatroompod@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and share the Chatroom Podcast wherever you listen to or watch it. We drop episodes every Tuesday, audio and video, across all platforms. And before we sign off, Daniel, once again, we appreciate you coming on here, taking the time out. You went from one interview to another interview, so we appreciate that time. And we will be tuning into Hot Ones Caribbean. We definitely will be tuning in.
Sure.
Definitely.
Even though I'm not a huge fan of hot sauce, I can't manage it, but I'll tune in to watch everyone else not manage it as well, for sure.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much.
For sure. No problem. Thank you for having us.
And this has been the Chatroom Podcast, your favorite baller's favorite podcast. And we are out. Peace.
Yeah.